Ever since FNaF 2, the Five Nights at Freddy's series has had minigames found in almost every single installment in the franchise. Whether it be the end-of-night minigames in FNaF 3 or FNaF 4, or even the Hidden Circuits Baby one in Sister Location. These minigames aim to break up the night-to-night gameplay while also adding tons of lore to theorize about. However, no FNaF game is loaded with more minigames than the 6th installment, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. By far, the best way of earning money for your pizzeria in FNaF 6 is by using your attractions to play different minigames. Whether it's accidentally breaking Helpy's spine in the ball pit, or waiting 10 hours for all the balloon kids to line up for Fruit Punch Clown, there's usually a fun time to be had. Keyword, usually. The minigames aren't even limited to the pizzeria segments, as you have to play a minigame to successfully salvage all 4 hostile animatronics at the end of every night. And so, I wanted to see if it was possible to achieve the completion ending of FNaF 6 without playing a single minigame. There are only 2 rules for this challenge. The first being that I cannot complete any of the playtest minigames while inside my pizzeria whatsoever. The second being that I cannot play any of the salvage minigames at the end of each day. This challenge forces you to play through the game with an incredibly minute budget, while also doing an incredible amount of mental manipulation to have all 4 hostile animatronics inside your pizzeria by Saturday. This is the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator No Minigames Challenge. Yes, you read the chapter's title correctly. It's possible to lose this challenge as soon as you begin the game. To be honest, I intentionally didn't mention one single minigame found in FNaF 6 within the beginning of this video. You see, when Scott Cawthon released FNaF 6 on Steam, he initially disguised it as just a simple retro-style tycoon game, which is why on the Steam page the game looks nothing like what we actually got. This was to lure players into a big reveal that the game was secretly the next big installment in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, and to get big YouTuber reactions from people like Dawko. To keep up with this facade, the game begins with an 8-bit style minigame, where you design your own pizza and feed it to hungry customers before the game transitions to what it truly entails. Therefore, if you are playing FNaF 6 for the first time and attempt this challenge, you will immediately lose as soon as you begin the game. You can't get to the real portion of the game without completing this minigame first, which means the challenge becomes impossible. Thankfully, once you do complete the minigame for the first time, it'll disappear forever, and every time you boot up the game afterward, it'll send you straight to the title screen. I've already played FNaF 6 before, so I'm luckily able to skip this minigame entirely and go straight into the actual tycoon segment. Unfortunately, skipping out on this minigame does have one downside to it that hinders our budget when we begin the game. We only have $100 of starting cash on Monday, but if you complete the intro minigame while selecting the bottom 4 toppings for your pizza, the game starts you off with $200 instead. Because we can't play this minigame, we don't have access to this bit of extra money, but I'm sure we'll still be financially stable. Right? Right? After beginning the game for real this time, I was hit with the harsh reality of just how little money we truly have. We start the game with just a measly $100. And since we can't playtest any attractions for money, this is about all we'll have on Monday. The only thing we can really do every day is take a sponsorship for an extra bit of cash. But at the start of the game, these bonuses are pretty minute. For example, we're forced to take the Fizz Time Pop Soda sponsorship for some extra money, but the amount we get is only $250, which is equivalent to essentially only one playthrough of Midnight Motorist. I did have one last idea on how to get a bit of extra starting money, but it never ended up working. In FNaF 6, you can get an achievement for purchasing and placing down an entire set of animatronics, which rewards you with some extra cash. My idea was to buy all of Trash and the Gang in the first catalog, and place them all down to get the reward of $1,000. Unfortunately though, all the animatronics have to be placed down at the same time, and we don't have nearly enough money to upgrade the building space or the stage to have all 5 out at once. Although, after placing down all of Trash and the Gang, I made a discovery that may be able to reward us with a bit more money. You see, when you place down an animatronic or attraction for the first time, the game rewards you with some Faz rating. Thanks to YouTuber It's Taken, we can easily see how much Faz rating each attraction and animatronic gives when you place them down for the first time. Faz rating is very important to us because for every 1,000 that you get, the game ends up rewarding you with a bonus of $100. This may not seem like a lot of money on a normal playthrough, but for us, getting any amount of extra money helps tremendously. All we have to do is buy a few members of Trash in the gang, and by placing them down, we'll be rewarded with money due to their Faz rating. This means that on Monday, we can now have up to $450 to spend on our pizzeria. That's still less money than winning only one jackpot in the Carnival Hoops minigame, but I'll take what I can get. I ended Monday by buying a few more things, and closed out the day with just $5 whole. The nighttime segment for Monday wasn't super interesting. I did the tasks on my terminal without any fear of getting jump scared by an animatronic. The only real issue I had to deal with was that due to the sponsorship I took, these annoying ads kept appearing on my computer. Here, take a look. Hey everyone! If you're enjoying this video so far, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. If you did, it helped me continue to make more challenge videos like these, and I'd appreciate it a ton. See? This Dunderhead just keeps showing up on my PC. God, I'm just gonna skip the ad.
Wait, please! I need the money to buy the Switch too! I just want to play Mario Kart!
Good riddance. Eventually though, I was able to get rid of all the conveniently placed advertisements for the TheDapperWaffle YouTube channel and moved on to salvaging Molten Freddy on Monday. Except, I'm not exactly able to salvage Molten Freddy. You see, for the first 4 days of FNaF 6, once you complete the office segment, you'll be greeted with an animatronic at your desk. You can either throw it back into the alley where you found it, or salvage it for parts. I would salvage Molten Freddy here, but I'd lose the challenge if I did. When you salvage an animatronic, you're forced into a minigame with them where you have to shock them if they move too much, which we aren't allowed to play. All we can do in these segments of the game is throw all the animatronics back into the alley, which means we'll end up missing out on a grand total of $8,500 because we can't salvage them. This already seems bad enough, but it becomes 10 times worse when you consider what the goal of this challenge actually is. We're aiming to get the completion ending, which involves us needing to have all 4 hostile animatronics inside of our pizzeria by Saturday, so the building can be burned down with everyone inside. By not salvaging the animatronics, we won't have Molten Freddy, Scrap Trap, Scrap Baby, or Lefty inside the building to achieve the ending, which means the challenge should be dead in the water, and it would have been, if not for one key detail about FNaF 6. You see, salvaging animatronics isn't the only way of getting them into the building. There is a second method, although it requires you to play the game in a way you realistically shouldn't ever have to. Essentially, we have to bait the animatronics to come right into our trap of their own free will. So here's the deal. We have to somehow find a way to get all 4 animatronics inside the building even after turning all of them away. This seems like a Herculean task for all of them, but thankfully getting Lefty inside isn't a worry in the slightest. We can actually just purchase him for $5 in the rare finds auction, which will immediately put him inside the office at night once we do so. But we still have to find a way to get Molten Freddy, Scrap Trap, and Scrap Baby inside the pizzeria, which seems pretty unlikely to happen, honestly. I mean, we're basically telling all 3 of them they are never allowed inside our pizzeria by throwing them back into the alley. Don't jump scare me. Don't come by my pizzeria. We're done. So, how are we gonna get them inside? Well, the truth is, we aren't. They will bring themselves inside. My goal is to manipulate all 3 animatronics so they will intentionally sneak inside of my pizzeria, which will cause them to all end up there by Saturday to achieve the completion ending. But this seems easier said than done. I'm not a master manipulator of any kind. How am I going to get these guys to break the law and trespass on my pizzeria? It was then when I conducted some research on the master manipulators of my time. I researched Saul Goodman with all his schemes, or Dream with literally everything he does, but nothing seemed to give me the guidance I needed. Until I found the Holy Grail. South Park Season 5, Episode 6. Cartman Land. This episode of the widely acclaimed American sitcom stars Eric Cartman, who after receiving $1 million in his late grandmother's will, decides to purchase his very own amusement park. His reasoning for this is because he wants to remove all the lines for the attractions, and be the only person allowed inside the park. He makes it abundantly clear that nobody is allowed in through a television ad, especially his close friends Stan and Kyle. Although, all this advertisement does is provide the opposite effect Cartman wants, as it creates a drive for people to break inside the park because of how fun the rides seem. Even after being banned from entering, Stan and Kyle end up trying to sneak inside the park through numerous different means. I believe this one singular episode of South Park provides us with the answer we need to get all 4 animatronics inside the building. We need to create the coolest pizzeria our money can buy. So when we deny animatronics like Molten Freddy or Scrap Trap access inside the building, they will become so envious that they aren't allowed in that they'll trespass and break into the building anyways. So, how are we gonna make the coolest pizzeria possible? The answer is pretty simple. In FNaF 6, some items have a statistic attached titled risk that adds up when you place them down. The more risk you have, the more likely all 4 animatronics are to sneak inside of your pizzeria without you even knowing, and be inside your vents once you enter the office segment. Once the nighttime segment begins, all 4 hostile animatronics roll a chance to sneak inside if they aren't in your pizzeria already, and the odds stem from your total risk out of 50. For example, if I only have a risk of 10 for my pizzeria, that means each animatronic has a 20% chance to sneak into the building on that night. Our goal of this playthrough is to create the riskiest pizzeria possible so we can intentionally get all the animatronics to sneak in by Saturday. Because we all know risky things are just the coolest. Shattering your spine while trying to jump into the ball pit? Pretty groovy. Falling off the ladder tower and breaking both your legs? Wicked. Getting launched out of the gravity vortex ride, causing irreparable damage to your entire body, changing the trajectory, and jeopardizing the rest of your life forever? Now that's hardcore! And so, I restarted my playthrough of FNaF 6 in order to make the coolest pizzeria possible. Once I reopened the game in order to start a new save file, I was met with something completely unexpected. I ended up receiving one of the rare startup screens of FNaF 6, and saw Molten Freddy sitting in the back alley. At the time, I didn't even know these screens existed in the game, so I was pretty shocked. I want you guys to keep this screen in mind for later in the video, by the way. Trust me, it'll come up later. Anyways, after this I started up a new save file, got my $100, and immediately became a sellout and took the FizzTime Pop Soda sponsorship for 250 extra bucks. My goal with the limited amount of cash I have access to is to get the highest atmosphere, entertainment, and bonus revenue stats I possibly can, whilst also acquiring as much risk as possible. With this money, I firstly purchased the discount ball pit, single stage, and duck pond, immediately putting me at 100 spent to unlock the next catalog, Stan's Budget Tech. I then bought Mr. Hugs, number 1 crate, and pan stand, and placed them all down to get a Faz rating bonus of $100. After this, I grabbed Gumball Swivel Hands, the neon stage lights, novelty traffic light, and paper pals from the catalog, leaving me with just $15 left in my bank account. I placed everything down and ended Monday with 8 atmosphere, 11 entertainment, 4 bonus revenue, and 5 risk. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. TheDapperWaffle, some of these items you purchase for your pizzeria are pretty strange. Why did you end up purchasing things like the gumball machine or novelty traffic light? Well, dear viewer, all these items share one thing in common. They provide an incredible amount of atmosphere and entertainment, all while being very cheap to buy. Having a high atmosphere and entertainment stat is important to us because at the end of each day, we are rewarded with extra money depending on how well our pizzeria performed. A high atmosphere stat will cause us to bring more people into the restaurant each day, and a high entertainment stat will keep those customers coming back in the future. The more customers we have, the more money we generate from these end-of-day calculations, which will be immensely beneficial in the long run. Besides taking sponsorships, this is our only way of getting a substantial amount of cash early on without playing minigames. So we need to maximize our earnings from this screen every single day. I completed the office segment on Monday and denied Molten Freddy access inside the pizzeria. I closed out Monday by obtaining 38 new visitors, netting me about $300 extra. On Tuesday, I had a pretty big realization about the restaurant. We only have a 5 in risk, so each animatronic only has a 10% chance to sneak in each night. We don't really have any attractions that are enticing enough for them to break in. At most, we only have a crappy ball pit to play in. And the last thing I want is for my pizzeria to look like a DashCon reunion. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there are any more risky items inside the catalogs we have access to, so we can't really up our risk any further. Instead, I decided to spend my money today on upgrading the size of my pizzeria so we can fit more customers inside the building, while spending enough money to unlock the next catalog, Smiles and Servos. After accepting the Marty's Plunger sponsorship for a bonus $500, I spent $250 to improve the size of my pizzeria. This is because of the base size. Your pizzeria can only hold a maximum of 50 people each day. So if you get more customers than you can fit, they'll be turned away and you'll miss out on the revenue. With this new size, we can now fit 100 customers inside the pizzeria. So we can essentially double our money at the end of the day. After this, I spent my remaining money on the Midnight Motorist Arcade, Fruity Maze Arcade, and Deluxe Speaker Set to just barely push me over $1,000 spent. Finally unlocking Smiles and Servos. Although, upgrading the floor plan didn't count for the $1,000 spent total we needed to unlock Smiles and Servos. But thanks to us maximizing our money early game as much as possible, we were barely able to unlock the catalog without it. Unfortunately, our risk still isn't very high. So it is still very unlikely that any of the 4 hostile animatronics will sneak in yet. And to be honest, I still wasn't sure if this item route was the best we could possibly do. In fact, this attempt at the challenge you've been watching right now was only supposed to be a practice one, and I didn't really expect it to go anywhere when I was filming. But what I didn't realize back then was that sometimes, all it takes is just one crappy ball pit to initiate the luckiest playthrough of this challenge I've ever had. I closed out Tuesday with only 5 risks to my name, and transitioned into the office segment. I moved over to the audio lore tab and started moving it around in order to see if anyone was in the vents. And only after a little while of trial and error, for just a split second, I saw someone had made their way inside. I was pretty shocked when this happened because with only 5 risk, each animatronic only has a 10% chance to sneak inside. I needed to figure out who had made their way into the vents, so I waited in my office in order to listen to the game's audio cues. In FNaF 6, Molten Freddy, Scrap Trap, and Scrap Baby all have a chance to instantly warp towards one of the 2 closest vents to you, and when they do, they play a clip of their voice. Knock, knock! I wanted to use these audio clips in order to figure out which of the 4 animatronics this was, and so I waited for a cue. And only after a little while, this is what I heard. The mystery animatronic was none other than Scrap Trap, who had already made his way into my pizzeria on night 2. I would say I'm surprised it was him, but this is William Afton we're talking about. The crappy ball pit totally won him over. No matter how ugly it looks, he will be going into the pit. Still, just the fact that I already had one of the 4 hostile animatronics already in my pizzeria by night 2 was a pretty lucky thing to happen. It was then when I thought back to that rare screen I got at the beginning of this attempt, and realized that it was a sign that this run was going to be blessed with luck. The run has been going pretty well so far, so it just had to be a sign of good fortune. I wrapped up night 2 without any troubles and moved on to the end of day revenue screen. It was here when I realized the ugly truth to my pizzeria. For some reason, if you intentionally make a risky pizzeria with unsafe attractions that causes severe bodily harm to people, you're gonna get hit with lawsuits? I know, it's absurd! I was hit with one singular lawsuit on Tuesday, which involved a little girl's index finger breaking at my establishment, which caused immense pain and suffering due to her inability to play Itsy Bitsy Spider ever again. Oh, cry me a river! Oh, boo-hoo, your little index finger got broken! Meanwhile, I'm having to fend off a serial killer in my vents who's trying to murder me! But you don't see me complaining! We did get a lot of revenue from our pizzeria today, so we thankfully aren't going bankrupt here, and can pay off this lawsuit with a bit of cash to spare. I started up Wednesday and did what I do best. Become a sellout and take a sponsorship for a bonus $1,000. To be honest, with only around 1,200 bucks, I really can't buy anything substantial for the pizzeria in the catalog. Instead, I ended up expanding the floor plan of the pizzeria one last time for two key reasons. For one, we can now have up to 500 customers per day, which will increase our end of day revenue even more. Secondly, tomorrow I should have enough money to buy both the deluxe concert stage and star curtain stage, and that'll give me the stage space I need to place all 5 of Trash and the Gang at once, which will give me their achievement for a bonus of $1,000. I ended up just saving the rest of my money left over, and went into the office section on Wednesday. Now, before I continue, I want to go over how exactly I'll be playing through the office sections, because I have to begin them in a pretty unique way. Firstly, I have to start out every night by using something no Pizzeria Simulator player should ever have to. You see, for the first time in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator history, the motion detector is actually useful. In any normal playthrough of FNaF 6, the motion detector is completely irrelevant and obsolete. All it does is tell you where in the vents each animatronic is, but there's no need for it when you can tell when one is close by your office by the directional vent sounds they make. It's still useless even if you want to see if an animatronic is far away, as you can also see where they are by using the audio lore. But, in this challenge specifically, the motion detector comes in handy for one key reason. When we start up each night for the first time, we aren't exactly doing our tasks right away. Instead, we need to figure out if any animatronics snuck their way into the pizzeria. By using the motion detector, we can quickly see the number of icons in the vents, and tally them up to see if we have a new animatronic joining the fray. If we do spot an animatronic in the vents, we then move on to the next segment of the night. Waiting. We may know that a new animatronic is in the vents, but we don't know who specifically it is. To figure this out, we have to idle in our office until one of two things happen. We can either 1. Hear a voice clip in our headphones that'll tell us who the animatronic is, or 2. Intentionally get jump scared. All that we're really hoping for when we do this is that our mystery animatronic doesn't turn out to be Lefty, as we can purchase him in the catalog and get him inside whenever we want. We'd rather it be any of the other hostile animatronics, as we have no guaranteed way to get them inside. And so, for every future night going forward, I will intentionally be waiting in my office just to see who exactly snuck their way into the vents. And while I'm waiting, I have to make as much noise as possible so the animatronics find their way to my office immediately. Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number.
So call me baby.
Hey! Wait, what? When I started the office segment on Wednesday, I was able to use this idling strategy to its fullest extent. I immediately turned on the motion detector and realized that a second animatronic had snuck their way into my vents. After that, I idled inside my office, and once a bit of time had passed, I had figured out who this second animatronic was.
Fascinating. What they have
That's Baby and Afton, oh my god! Our second mystery animatronic was none other than Scrap Baby. Keep in mind, I still have only 5 risk in the pizzeria, so Scrap Baby still only had a 10% chance of sneaking in. The rest of the night went really smoothly for the most part, except for one teeny tiny problem. On Steam, whenever one of your friends starts playing a game, a notification will pop up in the bottom right corner of your screen that'll let you know what game they're playing. This is usually pretty unintrusive, except that in FNaF 6, the temperature of your office is placed exactly in the bottom right corner. This can lead to the Steam pop-up covering up your temperature entirely, and can provide some pretty funny moments. Go away, Mr. Tism! Please, I need to see my temperature! I was thankfully able to close out the night without any more trouble, and ended up getting no new lawsuits. To be honest, my luck in this playthrough has been incredible so far. I have hit 2 10% chances that have allowed half of the hostile animatronics to sneak in over only the past 3 days. Lefty isn't a concern because I can just buy him whenever, so that only really leaves Molten Freddy as the last animatronic I need to sneak inside. I'm also about to get a ton of money from the next ad I'm going to take on Thursday, so I should be able to finally up my risk even more. The rest of the challenge should have been a cakewalk, honestly, but it didn't turn out that way. In fact, the latter half of this challenge was the most unlucky set of events I have ever seen playing this game. After playing through the rest of this challenge, I truly realized why I had gotten that rare startup screen of Molten Freddy in the alley at the beginning of this attempt. It wasn't a sign of good fortune like I had initially believed. In fact, it was a sign that Molten Freddy would do absolutely everything in his power to sabotage the challenge and remain in this alley for as long as he possibly could. Thursday rolled in, and I immediately started to make some serious cash. The new sponsorship I took nabbed me an extra $2,500, putting me at just over $3,500 total. The first items I bought were both the deluxe concert stage and Star Curtain stage, and afterward I ended up purchasing the members of Trash in the Gang I was missing. Once I did this, I placed all 5 members down at once to get a bonus of $1,000. Next, I wanted to get the achievement for placing down all 5 mediocre melodies at once, which would award me a staggering $10,000. This would have worked out perfectly fine, if not for one little freak. Most of the mediocre melodies reside in Stan's budget tech, and only cost a couple $100s each. However, this is not the case for the last member of the group, Orville Elephant. You see, Orville Elephant thinks he's so above all his peers that instead of being inside Stan's budget tech, he's found all the way inside of the rare finds auction. And instead of being only a few $100 like his pals, Orville Elephant costs $4,000. I don't know where Orville got the idea that he's the reincarnation of Jesus Christ or something, but his is not worth $4,000. I don't care what you guys say. At the end of the day, he's part of a group called the Mediocre Melodies. He is so mid that it's literally in his name. But I can do magic. Look at my wand. I can do so much cool magic.
Shut your mouth, you mediocre.
Melody.
Mediocre?
Unfortunately, this means that we're going to have to save our money and buy him tomorrow, as we're around $1,000 short of buying him. What we are able to do today, however, is purchase 2 key animatronics to help with our risk. Firstly, we were able to buy Lefty for a measly $5, adding 9 more risk to the Pizzeria, and finally placing him inside the vents. Secondly, I was able to purchase 1 markdown item, which lowered the item's price while also providing it with extra risk. So, what was this mystery item? Well, it was none other than...
What?
Fruit punch for everyone.
Even though I'm banned from playing his torturous minigame in this challenge, I am still scarred from what Fruit Punch Clown has done to my mental health. If I ever want to torture a man, I'm locking him in a white room and forcing him to play the Fruit Punch Clown minigame for 10 hours straight. He would go mad in mere minutes. But if Fruit Punch Clown is what gets Molten Freddy to sneak in the restaurant, so be it. So, did Molten Freddy actually sneak into the office tonight? No. Yeah, Molten Freddy didn't actually show up this night. I know it was only about a 50-50 chance for him to do so considering my risk, but it's still unfortunate. Although, I still have 2 more nights to get Molten Freddy in here, so it should be almost guaranteed he shows up. I began Friday with a fat stack of cash, as the sponsorship I took gave me $5,000, which set me at almost $10,000 when the day began. I firstly combed through the rare finds auction in order to find any markdowns inside. I did find one deal, however it was just on Lefty, who we've already bought. Lefty was marked down to just only $1 whole dollar. But that doesn't really change much because he's already so cheap at a base price of only $19,000! Apparently, the Lefty market has both skyrocketed and crashed in the time span of just a single night, as his base price jumped from $5 to $19,000 before crashing to only $1 single dollar. If we do the math and calculate the percentage Lefty is on sale for, he is on sale at a whopping 99.995% discount. Lefty has gone from costing the equivalent of a used Mercedes-Benz to now being worth only 4 gumballs. The Lefty market has left buyers in shambles, and I don't think they'll ever recover. Dude, I'm gonna have to file for bankruptcy. I've lost everything.
Oh my god, what happened?
I invested all my money into Lefties and the market crashed! After the Great Lefty Recession of 2025, I was finally able to purchase Orville Elephant and place down all the mediocre melodies for an achievement bonus of $10,000. Once I did this, I then purchased all of the Rockstar animatronics and placed them down as well for an extra $20,000. From here on out, I have enough money to buy every risky item in the catalog. I was able to get attractions such as the Deluxe Ball Pit, Gravity Vortex, and was even able to snag Music Man on sale with a bonus 5 risk attached. When it was all said and done, I was up to a risk of 45 in my pizzeria, which means Molten Freddy now has a 90% chance to sneak in tonight. I closed out the Tycoon portion and went into the office segment, without a doubt in my mind that Molten Freddy would find his way into my vent system. Completion ending, here we come. All I need now is a sign that Molten Freddy is in the vents, and we should be good to burn the building to the ground. It should only take a few minutes, at the very most.
8 hours later.
Molten Freddy still isn't here. Even after giving him a 90% chance to sneak into the restaurant, Molten Freddy was still nowhere to be seen. I never found him on the motion detector. I never heard him laughing in the vents. I sat down and got jump scared over and over again for 20 minutes, and not once did I see his face. I am still one animatronic short of the completion ending, and I now only have one last night to get him inside before I fail the challenge. So, after wrapping up the office segment on Friday, I went back to the drawing board to get Molten Freddy inside the pizzeria once and for all. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear Molten Freddy choosing to not sneak into the pizzeria. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Probably. This quote summarizes my game plan going into Saturday of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. In order to manipulate Molten Freddy into sneaking into the vents of his own free will, I needed to know how he worked both inside and out, without missing even the most minute of details. And from what I learned, Molten Freddy is a real freak! Essentially, in the FNaF lore, Molten Freddy is just 4 animatronics in a wiry trench coat, as he consists of Funtime Freddy, Bonbon, Funtime Foxy, and Ballora all in one. Originally, Baby was a part of the group too, but she was too toxic, so they kicked her out of the polycule. The fact that Molten Freddy consists of 4 animatronics in one completely explains the reason why he's been so hard to get inside the pizzeria. We aren't dealing with a single animatronic here. We're dealing with 4 at once, all with their own thoughts and opinions. And so, with a little under $9,000 to my name, I needed to figure out a way to make all 4 animatronics unanimously agree to sneak inside of their own volition. And after a little while of flipping through the catalog, I had my ace in the hole. It was none other than the jukebox. Okay, this isn't actually my ace in the hole, but when this pizzeria inevitably burns to the ground, I'm going to need some tunes to distract me from the severe pain my entire body will be in. Anyways, after buying the jukebox, I only had a little under $8,000 to my name, and needed to make my choice wisely. To help in this decision, I thought back to the most successful operation I've ever conducted, my first ever FNaF challenge. It currently sits at over 3 million views and combines my love of both FNaF World and gambling into one single video. And then, it hit me. That video was the most successful one I've ever made because everybody loves gambling! Everybody loves the prospect of having a chance at winning it big! That means all I have to do to win over Molten Freddy is to turn the pizzeria into a full-on casino! Immediately, I knew what I had to do. So I spent my entire bank account solely on the Prize King. Now, the Prize King is quite possibly one of the worst attractions to play in FNaF 6, because its odds work similarly to a real-life slot machine. All you do is put in your play token and pray that you get something out of him. 94% of the time, you will get absolutely nothing. There's only a 6% chance to even get anything out of him. So most of the time, you'll just be burning through your play tokens with nothing to show for it. But here's the thing. The gambler's mentality doesn't discriminate against anyone. The odds are against you when you play, sure, but we all know 99% of gamblers always quit before they hit it big. And I just know Molten Freddy is dying to win it big. He's going to see the Prize King through the window and get the gambler's itch. I just know it. And so, with just one day left, I placed down the Prize King hoping it would be enticing enough, and went into my final office segment of the playthrough. As soon as the night started, I immediately turned on the motion detector as the screen was fading in, to figure out if all 4 animatronics had finally made their way into the vents. Although, it proved to be pretty challenging trying to tally up all these icons at this point, as the animatronics can now move every 2 seconds in the vents. For example, I could have an icon pop up here, and 2 seconds later, I could have an icon pop up here. These could be 2 separate animatronics, sure, but it could also be the same one just moving to a different vent. The motion detector had become unreliable for tallying up animatronics, and all I could really do was wait around in my office and hope to be jump scared by Molten Freddy. But after waiting to see if Molten Freddy would show up in my office, I had learned a very valuable lesson. You see, there are 2 constants in life. The first being that everybody will die someday. The second being that no matter your age, race, gender, or even if you're a terrifying animatronic bear, nobody is safe from the gambler's itch.
Yes! Yes! We snuck in! Yes! We did it, boys! We did it!
I had done it. I had created a Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria so enticing that all 4 animatronics had snuck inside of their own free will. Some doubters may say that Lefty didn't actually sneak inside, as I just ended up buying him, but I am convinced he set that up himself. Lefty must have intentionally lowered his price to entice me to buy him. I saw his value for what he really was. All that's left to do now is to complete the night, and I will have gotten the completion ending of FNaF 6. Now, this last night of FNaF 6 definitely wasn't a cakewalk, as we are basically doing a hardest Saturday, except we still have access to all 3 utilities on the terminal. We still don't have any upgrades, and we have to deal with every single ad. But with a bit of trial and error, it is doable. Just pretty luck dependent. And after around 45 minutes of attempts... Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god, I was so nervous at the end. Oh my god. And with that, I proved that it's possible to achieve the completion ending of FNaF 6 without playing a single minigame. To be honest, this was actually my first time ever getting this ending of the game. So this challenge was a pretty fun way of achieving it for the first time. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get burned to a crisp alongside every other animatronic inside this pizzeria. And it's probably gonna hurt real bad. Thankfully, I already had a solution for this in mind, as I bought that jukebox earlier to distract my mind from all the severe and intense pain my entire body will be in with some sweet tunes. Hit it, Lefty! Mathematical! All I've got to do now is make sure nobody ends up finding their way out of this building, so the challenge is still valid. Hey. Wait a second! Scrap Baby is trying to make it out of the pizzeria! I have to stop her! Where you think you're going, baby? Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe. It's hard to look right at your baby, but here's my number, so call me maybe. Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe. And all the other boys try to chase me, but here's my number, so call me maybe. Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number.